Hi Flosstube Friends, today is Monday, September 1st, 2025. I am Audrey Marine. This is a channel all about cross stitch and it is Sampler September. So I thought I would come with a brand new Flosstube video, maybe a little earlier than you might have expected, but because it is Sampler September and we have just the best excuse to start all the samplers, I wanted to show you what I've been working on and then talk about plans for the month. So let's jump right in. I have one finish. I showed progress on my previous video, and that is Fanny Louisa Parker by Hands Across the Sea Samplers. This chart was gifted to me by my friend Laura, and I posted a photo of this in a Facebook group, and somebody actually asked where they could get this chart. I actually don't know that it will be made available. It may in the future, but I think it was given to attendees of an event that Nicola was teaching at, Nicola Parkman of Hands Across the Sea Samplers. So as far as I know, this is not available to the general public, and I don't know when it may become available. But I was lucky enough to be gifted this, and I went ahead and stitched her. She was a nice little red sampler. I used 56 count Dirty Teacup by Needle and Flax. I do love this color linen. I think that is a pretty true representation of it. I used SWA 103, which is a spooled silk. It looks like this. This is obviously not the color, but this is the type of silk that I used. So 100.3. This is a product from Overa SWA. And as I say, I used the color 523, which is the called for. The called for fabric, I believe, is something else. The called for fabric is creme brulee, which is much more modeled, much more dramatic linen. And I went ahead and used this Dirty Teacup. I do actually have something here that's on 56 count creme brulee. So I will go ahead and pull that out for comparison. This is something that I finished. I would have shown this 2 or 3 videos back. This is Dinah Elizabeth Disney, also by Hands Across the Sea Samplers. I stitched this using a surfine, which is another spooled silk from Overa SWA, but it's thinner than the 103s. So you can see the difference in not only the color of silk, but the color of fabric. So this is Creme Brulee by Tabby Cat. This is Needle and Flax's Dirty Teacup. You can see the difference there. I do love creme brulee. I love it for a bright red sampler, 664. I use 2664, which is just the surfine equivalent for this. And the reason I use surfine on this 56 and I used 103 on this 56 is because Dinah Disney has some 4-sided stitch. And I have found that if you use 103 for 4-sided stitch on 56 count, the little squares kind of fill up with thread. And so you don't get crisp squares, but you do if you use surfine. Oh, Dinah, I gotta put her over here. So anyway, maybe you can find this on a D-Stash site. Maybe one of your friends have it. I thought it was a fun little sampler. It took me a little bit longer than I anticipated just because I picked it up. I put a good, few days into it, and then I kind of put it aside in favor of some other projects. But when I finally got back to it, it didn't take long to finish. And this I will have made into a little pillow. It'll be kind of on the larger size, but I still think it's fine. On 56 count, it'll measure, the stitching area is 5 1/4 by 5. So it'll be a little bit bigger than that when it's made into a pillow. Okay, the next thing I have to show is an almost finish. She's so close. This is Hands Across the Sea Samplers, Harriet Godhard, 1817. And this I think is so fun because it's really dense, but it's also an unusual style, right? It's very tall and skinny. I stitched mine on 56 count, which means the stitching area measures about 3.1 by 9 1/4. So very interesting proportions. And let me show you her. This is 56 count Shrekie's Tan by Needle Bling. This in the video does look pretty similar to Needle and Flex's Dirty Teacup. Jordan just texted, sampler September is here. I love that. Okay, I love that that's on the video. Yes, we're all excited. We're all excited. Okay, you can see though, there is a little bit more, I hope you can see, there's a little bit more modeling in the Dirty Teacup, and this is a little bit more pink. And I like that it's a little bit more pink because we've got a lot of red here, and then even the brown that's in it is a very reddish brown. These deer, very red. So just within the last couple days, I finished the border, that red border all around. And yes, on the left and right side, it's just half cross stitches. And on the top and bottom, it's full cross stitches. Now, I chose to stitch this on 56 count because I wanted it to be tiny. I thought the smaller it was, the more the strange proportion would be exaggerated. And I still think that's right. But there is over one here, and then we've got, it's hard for me to see, yeah, because of the light color. This row of tiny blue squares, that's actually eyelets. So if you don't want that much of a challenge, stitch this on 46 or 40. I do love how it looks, and I'll be happy to have the finished piece as is. But if I were to stitch it a second time, I would absolutely stitch it on 46 count. Because even on 46 count, it would be less than 4 inches across. It would be 3 3/4 by 11 and a smidge. So, yes. Oh, but I love the colors. Really fun. So I need to finish filling in the spots on the deer. And here on the deer, I actually filled those spots in because they're supposed to be 4 little cross stitches. I actually filled those in with rice stitches. I'm gonna do the same over here. And then I have some 4-sided stitch to do in here. I've got a few little things to fill in up top. I got a couple little motifs here. So just little odds and ends. And there's a berry band at the bottom, and then she'll be done. So I anticipate this being finished hopefully this week. Ryan and I go out of town on Thursday, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish it before then. I mean, I would if I just devoted my stitching time to this, but you know, we get sidetracked with new projects and things. Okay. My arms. I went to the gym yesterday and today, and before that I hadn't been since June. So my arms are very tired. Jem sent me a very encouraging message though yesterday, which was very funny. Much appreciated. Thank you, dear. Yes, I will continue going to the gym. It's fine when you're there and you feel good about yourself when you're done, but it's like the getting up and going, and then also the getting up and going after you haven't been for so long. Okay. Well, so that is one of just 2 whips that I have. So I'll show you the second one, and then I'll show you my new start, and then we kind of go into like haul and plans and that sort of fun stuff. Okay, now this is one that you guys haven't seen for quite a while, because months ago I was like, I think I'll finish it before summer, and that just didn't happen, and that's okay. This is Oh Sweet Humility, Eliza Townsend's work, 1835 by Cross Stitch Antiques. If you watch Katie Strachan's videos, you will have seen her progress. She's nearing a finish on hers. Now she has made a lot of changes to the colors, and she's also, let's see, she's changed the verse. She put a different poem in there, and I think she's kind of evened things out. Like she's made it more symmetrical, because this is definitely not symmetrical. It's not. The original, this antique was stitched on a piece of uneven cloth, unevenly woven cloth. And besides that, even within the design, there are some irregularities. But the border, what I did was, when I was kind of studying the chart is I opted to even out the border because there was just like one little area that needed to be changed in order to make the border even all the way around. So I did that, but then in doing that, it kind of shifted a few other things around. So I have had to make my own choices as I go through. It is, I feel, a pretty good representation of the chart because I have used Kathleen Littleton's called for 103. So I've used her colors. I've just shifted a few things around and I've left the same verse. I just, again, kind of smushed it together in a way. So this is what I have so far. Okay, and I'll try to get that in the screen. I'm like trying to look through the fabric to see the screen. I am stitching this on 46 count through the Looking Glass by Tabby Cat Linens. This is a piece of linen I picked up when I was at Hobby House last October. Right? I was there in October? Yeah, that must have been it. But this was my birthday start last October. And it would be nice to finish it before my birthday this year. That is the plan. I would like to finish this month because I really don't have very much left to do. I am almost completely done with the over one. I removed, and I will tell you, the over one here, there's a lot of it. I put out a Stitch With Me over one video just about a week ago, and you can find that on my channel. I'll link to it below. And in that video, I talk about the changes I'm making to kind of squeeze this verse into a slightly smaller space in an effort to ensure that I don't have to remove this flower, because in Kathleen's instructions here, she says, stitching notes, do not stitch the lower left flower on the blue vase on the right, which would be this. Well, I want to stitch the flower and I want to have the verse complete without moving any of the words up or down or whatever. So I did a lot of math and I hope I got it right. I hope I have enough space. I have not verified yet, but I believe I should have enough space to put the same vase over on the other side. It won't have as much room around it. You see the room that's on the left and the right of the vase. I won't have that much space around the vase on the other side, but I feel that's okay because even here on the original, like her flower is touching those words. This one has its own area, but this one is really smushed in. So if mine is smushed in too, that's okay. But I will be very happy to have a finish on this. I love the muted grays, the muted gray greens of this in contrast with that bright red. It's like a very, very bright pinky red. One change I made to the color palette was that these, let's see, I want to make sure I get that right. So top left, yes. Around the border, these light pink flowers that you see, those were actually supposed to be filled in with a green color, a gray green color that is part of this border. So I stitched the bones of the border as is, but when I got to one of these flowers, I thought, I know I'm not gonna like that being filled in with a gray green color. So what I did was I went through my stash and I found a color that I thought would complement the pink. So the darker pink flowers are filled in with this. All of the outline of all of the flowers are outlined in this. And so to make a lighter pink flower, I pulled this. I thought they all went pretty well together. So called for is $4.99. That's the red. And then the called for darker pink is $60, kind of a pinky rose color. And then the lighter pink that I pulled to fill in those other flowers is $6.07. I love that. So I'm very happy with that choice that I made. Other than that, I have put Kathleen's called for colors where she charted them. But just so you get a sense of what the palette looks like. And then actually, so this is the pink that I added. This is a Swastirfine version of 099 that I'm using for the over one verse. Yeah. So a lot of grays and greens and just a little bit of pop, you know, a little pop of gold and pink. And as I say, this is on 46 count Through the Looking Glass by Tabby Cat Linens. I got a nice big piece of this at a hobby house. I just really liked the color, and when I was there, I actually purchased this chart and the called for silks for this, but I don't think I had it in my mind that I was going to use them together. But when I got home and I started pulling everything out, yeah, it was evident that this was a good choice for it. So I anticipate finishing this within the certainly this month. I'd like to have it done this month because I have a new birthday start picked out. I'm very excited. I've been kind of thinking the last few weeks what I wanted my next birthday start to be, and it just hit me. Next thing is a new start. Ryan and the kids and I in mid-August went up to Wisconsin. He had to work at Road America, and the kids and I always go with him just because we love the area and we have our favorite restaurants and stuff that we go to and go antiquing and all that. And when I was packing up, you know, socks and underwear and all that stuff, I also had to get Stitchy stuff together. And I thought, well, should I bring a whip that I've been neglecting, or should I bring a new start? So what I ended up doing was I brought 2 fully kitted brand new projects, and this is the one that I started. And I just worked on it the whole time we were there. And actually we had ended up going and spending the night before at his parents' house. They're about a half an hour north of us. So the night before we had to drive up to Wisconsin, we went to his parents, we hung out with them. We, you know, swam in the pool and did all the fun stuff with them. And so I had brought it with me and started it there, and then continued on the road trip, and then the time that we were up in Elkhart Lake. This is Mary Wigglesworth by Hands Across the Sea Samplers. For those of you who are new to my channel, I'm sure you've already figured out, I really love Hands Across the Sea Samplers charts, but also this year I'm trying to stitch and finish more hats samplers than anybody else. So we'll see if I am successful. Mary Wigglesworth. I do love this chart, and my friend Jem started it as well. You just can't beat the colors on this. Oh. Okay, and I chose 46 count Hawthorne by Needle and Flax. This is a piece of fabric that I bought from my friend Steph, Link Curl Stitches. Hi, Steph. So go check out Steph's channel. She and Jem actually, and a whole bunch of other people just went to summer school and had tons of fun without me. That's okay. But I loved stitching this. It was really fun. The colors are just gorgeous. And while you had to really pay attention to this band up here, like because of these things, you know, you really had to count and be careful. The border is easy and very regular. And then these motifs here were very easy to stitch as well. Very fun. Yeah. So I'm enjoying that one. I think it's gorgeous. I think an interesting, oh, I got a fuzz. Interesting part of this band here is that this red flower is actually outlined in a dark blue. It looks so pretty. It's actually the same blue as this alphabet here. Yeah. If you want to see this finished, Grace Paisley Stitcher finished this quite a while ago, I'm sure over a year ago at this point. And I don't remember which video it was that she showed it, but she's a good one to watch anyway. She hasn't put out a new video in a while, but you know, just go back and watch her stuff. She shows so many good things. All right. So that is all I have been working on for the last few weeks. But I have lots of good haul. I've got some Stitchy kindness, and we can talk about plans. We can talk about Sampler September. Now, Sampler September, some people want to start one new thing per week. Some people are just starting whatever. I know that Narissa, as well as Michael of Davis Quilting and Stitching, but Narissa of Narissa Stitching Lifestyle, and a bunch of other people are trying to start from stash. So starting things that they have already gotten kitted up, you know, way back when, and that have just been sitting in their stash waiting to be started. I have a few of those. But a lot of people are buying new things for the month. One of the things that I bought for the month is, and I talked about this on my last video, is Jane Wood. This is a new chart by Maximum Cross Stitch. You can get the PDF from Ellen's website, Maximum Cross Stitch. I'm sure it's just MaximumCrossStitch.com, but it doesn't say on here. But you can get the booklet from Evertote.ca. Yeah, you can get. I ordered this booklet and the floss from Evertote.ca, and it is the model is stitched with Roxy floss. So that, if you want it to look like that, go ahead and get that. I went ahead and put a fun Minnie McBean's floss bling on there. This is actually for Katrine's Garden, which is an exclusive to Hobby House Needleworks. That's another hats I have kitted up, and it's just like sitting there, and I've had it since December. Okay. Well, for this, the model was stitched on Roxy Floss Co. Speculoos, I believe. Pretty sure. Yeah, I don't know. I'm reading here. No, I don't know. Pretty sure it's been stitched on Speculoos, but I did not buy that. I was kind of thinking maybe I could find something in my stash. Well, Jem put an end to that. She was like, no. So Jem sent me this big, beautiful piece. Oh my gosh, look at it. Look at it. Yeah, she sent me a big, beautiful piece of 40 count. What? 40 count Thornfield by Needle and Flax. And you need a big piece of linen because the stitch count on Jane Wood here is 302 by 306. If you've gotten Jane Wood, if you got the chart, if you got the kit, whatever it may be, and you're looking to join a stitch along, Carmen of Cardamom Pins is leading the stitch along, sort of sponsored by Evertote. So she has broken it up into 8 or 9 chunks, which I think are actually really big chunks, because I believe there are more than 40,000 stitches in this chart. So I was talking to Ryan about this yesterday, and he was kind of asking like, well, what's your goal? And like, when do you want to finish this one? Because I had told him how big it was. And I said, well, if I really had to, I could finish it in a couple months. But I'm not going to do that because I've got other stuff going on, and inevitably I'll want to start new things and this and that. But I told him, I said, you know, if I finish it before next Sampler September, that would be great. And he was like, oh, it's like a year. And I was like, yeah, but she's a big girl. She's a big girl. But this is what I'm going to use. Absolutely gorgeous fabric. And even though it's not a perfect match to Speculoos, because I actually have a piece of Speculoos and I've compared them. It's not, this is more modeled. I actually do think it looks really good with the colors, and it really looks like the photo, don't you think? Yeah. So, big girl, I'm excited to start her. If you are interested in any part of that kit, go ahead to Evertote.ca, or you could even just go, if you're curious to see better photos, better video of the floss. Hannah has put up a video on the Evertote Notes from the Workshop channel showing the different flosses that are included in that kit. Okay, last time I just had to insert photos because I didn't have the actual charts yet. But I told you that I had purchased the Maria Wales Newson charts from Hands Across the Sea Samplers. These were just released in August. From August 1st to August 31st, people in the Friends of Hands Across the Sea Samplers group on Facebook were able to order this one and get this one for free, but that offer has expired. So now you gotta pay for them separately. But it was a great deal for Friends of Hands Across the Sea samplers. Oh my goodness, I am tripping over my words today. Now, there is going to be a stitch along for this one starting January 1st of next year. And I think it's a woman named Judy who is leading that stitch along. And you can find more information about that in the Friends of Hands Across the Sea Samplers Facebook group if you are curious. This one, speaking of big samplers, this one is also really big. This stitch count on this one is 295 by 413. Really big. But the sampler is executed mainly with cross stitches laid over 2 threads of linen. Maria also worked 4-sided stitch and cross stitch over 1 for the verse and dedication. So this verse is over 1 and has some 4-sided stitch for the capital letters, and then same here. But the rest of it is over 2. So if you want to stitch it on Ada, you can do that. Or if you just don't like if you don't like over 1 and 4-sided stitches, you can maybe replace this text here with your own name or your own dedication, or just another motif that you like. But I love this. It's very, as Jen would say, yellow forward. And I will actually show you the color palette now, because I have since received, I got the charts and I got the silks. Wow. Okay, this color, I think, is it $1.99? It's $1.99. $1.99, that's one of my favorite greens. It's just obnoxious and acidic. Yeah, beautiful. So just beautiful golden yellows, pinks, blues, and lots of green. Lots of green. And these spools that I got, they are 150 meters rather than the typical 50 meters. So I should be good with just the one spool of everything. Even still, it does say that if you're stitching with 103s on anything from 40 to 56 count and 1 strand, you should only need 1 spool of anything. I like how it says, Maria's Bobby Dazzler of a sampler has been reproduced using a palette of 22 colors. It is a Bobby Dazzler. It is. And you can head to Nicola Parkman's YouTube channel to see videos of the model. So the other one to go with that is a primer sampler that was stitched by the same girl. That one was stitched in 1838. This one was stitched in 1832. So this is one that she did first. And this is just 2 colors. It's 536 and 578. And I found that those colors were available in Swasserfine. So I went ahead and got those. So instead of 536 and 578, I got 2 536 and 2 578. So it's like a wine color, and then, I don't know, a really, really, really dark black green. But it makes for a gorgeous pairing. And you'll notice I've actually already pulled a piece of fabric. I am going to use 56 count Overcast by Cedar River Linen. So that's just about all the haul that I had from my own doing. But I do have some Stitchy kindness. So if you watched Brenda and Laura's last video, they talked about their trip to Hobby House and the wonderful retreat that Nicola and Kathleen and Ray had put on for all the attendees there. And Laura also talked about finding this sampler for sale at Hobby House and how they came to know about it anyway. So she got me a copy. And actually, before she even sent it to me, she sent me a photo of the front. I was like, yes, that's the one, that's the one. But then she also sent me a photo of the back. So I was able to pull all the colors and order what I needed and get it ready to go. So when I'm talking about plans for Sampler September, this is definitely a contender. I mean, I would really love to start this. Look at those colors. this bright red, teal, aqua, this hot pink. What color is this? 252. 252. Yeah, just gorgeous. It says that this was stitched on tabby cat linen bow truckle, which I think is, it's definitely darker than what appears here in this photo. I have a piece of bow truckle. I meant to pull it out, but I'm not sure what I'm gonna use for this. But the stitch count is 205 by 220, so not overly large. I think this would be a good one to start in Sampler September, maybe finish by the end of the year. Has a lot of color changes, but doesn't look too bad. When I see alphabets like this and there are a bunch of different colors, it's a little discouraging when it's each letter is in a different color, but this is actually in groups of 2, which is somehow easier to swallow. I don't know. So this is Mary Ann Fitzgibbon. I don't think I actually said that. Mary Ann Fitzgibbon by Hands Across the Sea Samplers. I do not know if this is even on the Hobby House website yet. I don't think it's on the Hats website. So if you're interested in this, you can send an email to Hobby House or check their website. What happened last October when I went for the Hats retreat was that they had a few things. We got our retreat pieces, but then there were also exclusives that were available for purchase at Hobby House. And one of those charts, one of the 3 charts that were made available, 3 additional Hats charts that were made available that weekend, they said that it was exclusive to attendees and that weekend. Like, you had to buy it at the store that weekend because it wasn't going to be on the website and it wasn't going to be available for purchase until, and that was Eliza Duff Curtin. So I went ahead and purchased that chart, and I've actually already finished that piece. I'll go ahead and pull it out if I can. And then months later, I did see that it was up on the Hobby House website, but it did take some time. This is the piece. So maybe they're doing something similar. Maybe Mary Ann Fitzgibbon was available for purchase in the store that weekend, and it'll be up on the website in a few months' time, or maybe it's up now. I'm not really sure. But this one is fun. It has a lot of eyelets and just a fun color palette, and 2 silly dogs down at the bottom. So thank you, Laura, for buying that and sending that to me. And I am all pitted and ready to go. I just need to pull some fabric. I don't know what that's going to be. And my mom wanted to buy a fabric panel from Hands Across the Sea. So she said, do you need anything from Hats? And I was like, well, I don't need anything, but if you're buying. And so I requested Sarah Milthorp. This was part of Sampler Symposium 2023. So I think it was available for general sale in January of 2024, and I just hadn't gotten around to getting it. And this one is 236 by 248 and has a really beautiful color palette. Yeah. 152, that's one of my favorite greens. 494 is a really fun coral, and 664 is my favorite red. And I bet the house is in 664. So Sarah Milthorp. And then the other one I requested from Mom was Mary Choaks. This is another one that has a lot of eyelets in it. And it has a really nice phrase. Catch them, oh catch the transient hour. Improve each moment as it flies. Life's a short summer, man a flower. He dies, alas, how soon he dies. Very sweet though. And this is a nice size as well. This is only 204 by 240. So not huge. On 46 count, which is probably what I'll be stitching it on, it'll be about 9 by 10 and a half. Not huge. And these are both available on the Hats website, or you can get them from your LNS. Neither of these will I be able to start in Sampler September, just because I don't have the floss for them yet. I have plenty of fabric. I'm sure I could choose something for them, but I have a lot of silks right now tied up in other projects. So I'm trying to finish, like once I finish Harriet Godhard, that'll put, I don't know, what is it, like 9 silks back in my stash or something. And then when I finish Eliza Townsend, that'll free up, what is this, about 16 silks or so. And those will go back in my stash. But what I've been trying to do for just a few projects is just buy all the silks for that given project, so I'm not pulling too many things from my stash. And so that when I want on a whim to just start something, I actually have a stash to pull from. So, okay, the other things that I could possibly start in Sampler September though, besides Ann Fitzgibbon and besides Jane Wood, which I definitely will start, would be Ann Morison. And I did talk about this last time. I got all the silks for this. I think I had most of them in stash. And so that was the thing. Like I pulled a bunch of these silks out of my stash and now they're all tied up in this. So I kind of need to go through my stash again and assess what I'm missing and maybe sometime next year kind of fill in the holes again. I think Jordan was asking me about pulling from stash or ordering silks. And I told her that if I have 2 of a color in my stash, I'll pull 1. But if I only have 1 in my stash, then I'll just go ahead and order it if I know I'm gonna be starting something with that color soon. So that's kind of my thought process. But of course, you know, I don't always adhere to that. So I could start Ann Morison because I have fabric and floss for that. And then another one that actually I want to get going on this. This is Barbary Butcher. This was given to attendees of Sampler Symposium this year. This is another Hands Across the Sea sampler. So I'm sure this will be made available for public, you know, for widespread release next January. The great thing about this one is it only takes 7 colors. And I don't think there's any over 1. Yeah, cross stitches laid over 2 threads, and there are 7 cross stitches laid over 1. Where are those 7? Oh, it's like maybe this tiny little R in December. Is that what it is? I don't even know. But basically it's all over 2, so you can stitch this on any fabric you want. And I have chosen 56 count white mustard by XJew. And these are the colors. So the yellow, I know you're thinking, oh, well, that yellow will kind of blend into it. But I don't mind that because the yellow is part of the border and I think it'll just make everything look more yellow actually. So very yellow. And then the red in particular, the red will really pop, as will the green. And even that light blue, you know, that'll look really nice on there, I think. So I would like to get started on that. Yeah, so I have lots of choices for Sampler September. Too many choices, actually. Okay, last thing that I want to show you actually is what I chose for my birthday start. So my birthday is in October. It is October 19th, and this year I will be celebrating my birthday in England because it's actually the last day of the Swindon retreat. So that just means that I've got like another thing to take with me because I'm sure I'm going to want to put in at least 2 stitches there at the retreat so that I can say I started on my birthday. I'm going to try really, really hard to pack as lightly as possible. I want to take my ultimate travel bag that Apoon made, and then I want to take actually just one of the tiny kid suitcases because if you've ever been, you know that you've got to get, I mean, you could take a car, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to take the tube from Heathrow into London, and the less you have or the smaller your luggage is, the better. It's just for ease of use, ease of travel, I should say. Okay, none of that really matters. This is what I chose for my birthday start. I have had this for like a year. This is Sarah Stewart Hardman, 1824 by Needlework Press. You know, I love the red house. It's similar in a way to Eliza Townsend. Just you've got the pastoral scene and the couple down here. You've got a verse and you've got you know, your various weird birds and sheep and stuff. It's a little different though. Look at it as a chair. That's so silly. And I want to tell you guys the stitch count because I looked it up and actually it's not massive. Yeah, it's 236 by 256. And it is charted for either Tudor silk or a classic color works. And there is also a DMC list provided as well. Well, a friend of mine gifted me all of the Tudor silks because she was like, I'm not stitching this on 56. What the hell was I thinking? So to my benefit, I got all the Tudor silks. And I've actually never used Tudor silk, but I have used Gloriana and I love Gloriana. And you can see that I started putting them in floss away bags and I got that far. I got one in, is what I got. Look at those colors though. The photo on the front is the antique. And I just think it's gonna be, so it's really pretty and I love the vibrancy of the red here on the green. I think it's still maintained good color, but I think it'll, you know, it'll look so much different actually getting it stitched. And for the fabric, I have a piece of 56 count Scrimshaw from Cedar River. Now, Scrimshaw, I have seen and heard that some of it's pink and some of it's yellow, but it's all a really, really light color. This, the piece that I have is pink. It is a very, very light blush pink. And it's hard to show you the Tudor silks because they're all in bags, but I think the reds will look lovely on this and the greens will contrast nicely. So I'm excited about this. I love Jody's linen. That is my birthday start and it's housed in my lovely berry bag. That's another thing. Like Sean is so good about showing you guys all her bags and stuff. And she shows us like, oh, I love that bag. I love that bag. Oh, I have that bag. I love that bag. I never show you guys my bags. But it has a very nice home in a beautiful tomato bag made by Barry. I remember when I managed to, this was when Barry was still on Etsy, and I managed to snag one of these on one of her bag drops, and I texted Laura and I was like, I got a tomato bag. I was so excited. I was so excited. Okay, so that's everything that I have for you today, actually. I gotta get stitching. I gotta put all this stuff away, then I gotta get stitching. Well, I think I'll leave you there. My plans for Sampler September, start all the things, basically. Please let me know below what your plans are for Sampler September. I'm curious to know if more people are pulling from stash, buying new charts, kitting up things, or if they're going back to long forgotten whips, what they may be doing. If you have comments or questions, please leave them below, or you can find me on Instagram at StitchStitchBead. And until next time, happy stitching!